Hello, my name is Josh and I am in Austin, Texas. I wanted to show you my koi fish pond and go over with you some of the things that I did that I have done wrong and things that I have learned from. Like you probably, koi fish ponds are a steep learning curve. This is my first example or my first installation of a koi fish pond. I had plenty of experience with stonework, and so me and a helper, we built the stonework around here, and I decided I wanted me a koi fish pond. So thinking there was nothing to it, I went ahead and built this thing. Then I realized after years of playing around and fooling around and mistakes that I made a lot of errors, and I wanted to go over some of these errors with you so that hopefully you won't make the same ones that I made. First of all, you notice the edging of the pond here, there's that liner. That liner is exposed. Being exposed, here, especially here in the hot Texas sun, given time, that liner will go to crap on you. That liner will get brittle and it will go to crap on you. So you always need your liner under the water. There at the waterfall, I took the liner up maybe only a foot, if you would. I didn't take it up very far, and I should have taken up the entire way of the waterfall. I should have gone to the top of the waterfall. But when I was doing my stonework, I was all worried that had I done that, I wasn't going to get the rocks, and those rocks are very heavy, to have adhered properly, to have held over the years. So I chose to not do that. Now I did build this waterfall with cinder block, and then I outlined it with the sandstone there. And the cinder block I did fill with cement, hoping that that would give me extra water seepage protection, if you would, but it didn't. The liner, man, I gotta emphasize to you the liner. The liner is the key. Now I'll show you a few other things. This bog. So I had my pond built for about a year, and I had a so-called professional, which you will learn. A lot of guys and a lot of people claim to be professionals, and they're just not. He advised me to build this bog. He says, build this bog as your natural filtration system, and this bog has 2 yards of pea gravel in it. And he said, build this bog and pump water into it and put them irises in it, and this thing will act as a natural filtration system. He said, you're going to have to clean it out every now and then, which, let me tell you, that's the problem. Cleaning that thing out is a fiasco. It's just horrible, and you never want to do something like that. So we have since come up with a new solution, which we are going to implement here before long. What we're going to do is we're going to take this bog and we're going to remove all the rock out of there, and we're going to turn it into our goldfish pond. I don't know if you can tell by means of this camera, there are a bunch of goldfish in here, and we want to get rid of these goldfish. My wife wants me just to take them to a pond, neighborhood kind of type of pond, and just dump them. But I don't want to. I want to salvage them. So our compromise was to put them inside of this bog. I'm sure a lot of you get what's called green algae, single cell algae. So about 4 years ago, I had a ton of single cell algae, because here in Texas, we get a ton of sun down here. And so I learned that single cell algae, one of the things it has to have is sun in order to grow. And so what I did was I bought this gargantuan tarp, and I put this tarp up over the pond. And when I did so, it provided shade. Well, that shade did not allow that single cell algae to grow. I mean, man, I was looking at every kind of UV light, all this kind of UV stuff, high dollar, and I knew I was going to have to be screwing around with it year after year after year, and I knew you just couldn't combat it, the single cell algae, with as much sun as we get down here. So I decided the heck with it, and I attempted the shade technique, which is what you see right here. I put this thing called a shade cell up here, and it was quite a big project, but it now provides me with plenty of shade for my pond. And so between that and the other thing was I got rid of all of my plants inside of my pond. I learned the hard way that either you're going to have like an aquarium koi pond, or you're going to have a water escape feature. I didn't want a water escape feature. I wanted something for my fish. I want to see my fish. I want to see all the way to the bottom of my pond, and I want it crystal clear. So at the beginning of this year, beginning of this summer, my water was crystal clear. Then all of a sudden, my water went to crap on me. It got real dark. And so my new pond consultant, which is just awesome, he really knows what he's doing. He counseled with me, and he told me, he said, hey Josh, he said, you've got so many fish in here, and these fish, we did the calculations for how much fish I have per gallons, and being a 7,000 gallon pond, I was way, way, way over. He said the thing is the fish will grow. So you could start out with just a few, like 30, if you would, small kois, and give it a couple, 2 or 3 years, and they're going to go from 4 inches in size to 12 or 14 inches in size. And so therefore you have just created that much more of a demand on your pond, and or load on your pond, I should say. And he said this is what happens. And me, I like to add and add and add fish, so I just compounded it. But anyhow, he said that, you know, we got to get rid of this bog first of all, and we're going to ditch it. And he says put in this bad to the bone Ultima 2 filtration system. And this Ultima 2 filtration system, he said, to get a 20,000 gallon, get a really large one. He said because you want as much filtration as you possibly can get. So that's what I did. And I've got to tell you, man, within 2 days of putting that filtration system in, I just couldn't believe my eyes. The water went crystal clear. I don't know, because the sun is going down right now. I don't know if we can see that well, but you can look all the way down, and that's 3 foot, 3.5, 4 foot of water there underneath the waterfall, and you can see plumb down to the pebbles there on the bottom. I mean, I don't know if the camera's going to show that, but it's really, really clear. I mean, it's really awesome. Here's what the filtration system looks like. This is the Ultima 2 filtration system here. This big old monster bead filter. See this thing? It's huge, man. But it's pretty bad to the bone. And that's a pump that I've got that runs it. Water goes through, hits that basket, comes up, goes around, goes into this big old monster, goes around, then comes out and goes back in, and then feeds in through my filter falls up top. Now here's a backwash doohickey right here. I got this old this hose here that's a 2-inch hose made for swimming pools, for draining swimming pools. I hook this rascal up, and then I pump my water into all of my bamboos over here, and I pump good backwashed, you know, water from the fish, so it's really great for my plants. Anyhow, they make these things in all sizes. They've got much smaller versions, and man, spend the money. So now I'm standing on top of my waterfall up here, give you a bird's eye view of what's going on. The sun is going down, and it really isn't doing the clarity of the water justice. So let me explain a little bit more about that filter fall thing. It has a backwash feature. So when the muck goes into it, it has this media, these little plastic beads, and it captures the muck in the water. And then you do what's called a backflow or backwash. And that backwash kind of, by means of all these different types of jets it's got in there, it circulates that media real well and cleans the media beads. And it really is effective. Point being, that thing is worth its weight in gold. Now the other thing that I didn't do with this pond, which, you know, I just, again, it was because I was a novice, is I didn't put any way for the top of the water, a skimmer. So for the crap that's on the top of the water to get out. So you should have like a skimmer, you know, like right there somewhere. And so then your water flows into that skimmer. And once it flows in that skimmer, then you're cleaning the top of the water. Me, I have to go around with a net all the time. I have to clean the crap off the top of the water, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. The other thing I was going to tell you about this liner. So my solution with this liner is I found a product online. It's a 2-part EDM product that you mix together, and it creates a rubberized liner. And you brush that on, and when you brush it on, it's really badass. It makes a really nice thick liner. But my mistake was I put it on, and I put it on about 14 inches from top to bottom there, and And in doing so, it was really slick. And so I put it on there about 14 inches down. But what happened was it started peeling off. The manufacturer point blank says, do not use it to patch stuff. If you use it for your entire pond. You know, don't use it as a patchwork product, which is what I did. And being a patchwork product, it started peeling off, and the fish would go up, and the fish would eat it and pull it off. Well, that stuff for the longest time, man, was clogging up my filter basket. It was just a fiasco. It was clogging up my other little pumps that feed this bog and then feed that guy. I mean, forever it's been a fiasco. So my new solution that I'm going to end up doing this year is going to be, I'm going to take strips of liner, long strips of liner with liner glue. And I'm going to take those strips, drain the water down a good 2 feet, and put those strips and just glue them along the edge there. And the reason why I'm going to do that is that sun will eventually take its toll on that liner. I've seen many people's houses that have this liner exposed to the sun, and after about 10 or so years, it goes to crap. And if you build your liner into the stone the way I did here, you cannot afford for that liner to go to crap, because trying to replace it is going to be a fiasco. And that's what I want to avoid. So I'm going to put another layer of liner up there. Now these are the Filterfall Doomahichis here. I think that's what they're called. It used to be, man, I had plants in here. And those plants were really cool. They were irises. But the problem is, them plants create waste and create crap. And I also used to have lilies and all kinds of other plants all throughout my pond, man. I had them everywhere. And I learned, it might not be the right way of thinking, but I learned that either you're going to have I forget what they call it, it's an environment for fish, or you're going to have a waterscape environment for plants. And the plants, man, they really muck things up a lot. And so I said, the heck with it, I want my pond to be just like an aquarium. I want it to be crystal clear. I want you to be able to see all the way to the bottom. And I want to eliminate all of these plants. You know, if you have lilies, them lilies, they're just a disaster. They die on you, and bits and pieces fall to the bottom of the pond, and all that stuff has to degrade, and leaves and all that other stuff, you know, get in the pond. It all has to degrade, and when it degrades, it turns into a mess. So I decided I eliminated all my plants. Then I had these big old filter things inside of here. Well, that was all before I got that Ultima 2 filtration system. That Ultima 2 filtration system does everything for me. So you can see I pulled all the filter media out of these rascals. It just purely pumps water in here. Whether it's the right thing to do or not, I don't know, but I seem to think it is. Now, speaking of these Filterfall things, when I put this in, I didn't know any better. And see right here how the water goes over the edge. Originally it came where this plastic was considerably longer, but I, like a dumbass, I went and I snipped it real short. And what happens is that water goes over and it gets into the mortar, and then it crawls back underneath my stone. And I have since gone in and laid fiberglass. I've laid, what have I done? I've laid all kinds of product down to try to keep it from getting back into my stone. You can kind of see some patch repair work kind of stuff there. And it still leaks. So water, man, if there's a crack, water's going to find it. So, you know, just be cognizant of that. And had I run that liner all the way up to the top of this waterfall like I was supposed to, like I should have, it wouldn't have been doing that. It wouldn't have been leaking. There's something interesting right there. That's a plank that I put in to give the frogs a way of getting out of my pond. Now, I knew whenever I built this pond, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to build with my stone walls there. I wanted to build them going straight down so that no critters could get in. I knew from other people they had ponds where critters would get into their ponds and would snake their fish. Well, we got plenty of raccoons and possums around here, and I didn't want them things getting into my pond, so I made this pond where by it's got this sharp, you know, straight down ledge to it. And the conundrum is when it's time for the frogs to get into here, you'll get 12 or 16 of them frogs in here, and you'll come over the next morning and you're going to find about 9 of them floating because they're dead, and they drown. And so I put that plank in there so to give them rascals a way to get out, and since I've done that, I haven't had any problems with the frogs. I don't know if you can see it very well, That right there is something I learned from a friend of mine. It's called an indoor-outdoor thermometer. You can get them anywhere. You see that little cable going into the water there? It's a cheap, like $10, $15 indoor-outdoor thermometer. It's really cool. And that rascal right there, that cable, will tell me what the water temperature is. And of course, the other portion of this thing here, it'll record what the outdoor temperature is. So it's really cool. I always use that as a reference to get an idea of how cool my water is. And that was another great thing about putting a shade up here, was the shade immensely cut down on the temperature of my water. And the single cell algae is caused by many factors. One of them is sunlight, okay? It has to have sunlight. And then the other thing is the temperature of your water. You'll notice your ponds probably, when it starts to get real warm, your ponds break out in single cell algae. So A, it's from the sun, B, it's from the nitrates and all the other stuff that's in the water, but then it's also from the temperature. So this shade up here is keeping my my pond considerably cooler, which is a huge plus and advantage. And that's the other thing is, when it becomes summer and so now you've got the sun you know, poking out, and you've got the warmth of the sun, you've got your water getting warm, and then you start feeding all your fish, right? Well, you throw in fish poop, fish waste, fish food, sun, and water temperatures, and it is a prime environment for that single cell algae to grow. So the thing is, here not too long ago, my pond started going to crap in the sense of it started getting real mucky looking. And that's when I hired my consultant to come back over here and consult with me. And he said it was because I had too many fish and it was too much waste in the water. Because I feed these fish, I don't know if you can see it over there, it's that thing over there, it's a good, where is it, there it is. It's a good gallon and a half plus food, and I give them that much food pretty much a week, man. So that's a lot of food that I throw in here. But I have well over 100 koi in there. I don't know if you can tell. They're all various sizes and such, but I got so many fish in there. My logic is that they eat the stuff, and I'm gonna feed it to them. And so he said I just have too much fish and too much food, which was causing the muck. This is a really long video, and I apologize for that, but my goal was to make an informative video so that you can learn from my mistakes. I've scoured through a ton of the videos on the internet, and I don't really see too many educational videos. And there's so many mistakes that I've made over the years, and I just wanted to share them with you. Now, another thing that my pond consultant educated me on this time last year, I think it was I had parasites in my fish. My fish were what they call flashing, which means they're swimming on their side and they're jumping out of the water. Not too many of them, but just enough. And so what we did was I added almost 400, like 380 pounds of salt. The kind of salt that I use, he said, make sure it's as pure of a salt as you can get. It's salt that you would put inside of your water softener. You get it from the Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, that type of item. And I was scared to death. So I got this digital thermometer doing the Hitchie that measured the salinity of the water, and I added the salt. I did it over a period of, I don't know, 3 to 7 days or something. I just added a little bit at a time until I got it up to, I think it was like 0.9%. And I let the fish swim in it for quite some time. And that salt, you can read more about on the internet, but from what I remember, the parasites can't live in a salinity environment. And so whatever parasites you got in your water get killed by the salt. The conundrum is, if you have any plants like that stuff right there, they will take a hit. They don't like salt. So the plants have to come out if you're going to do that. And then to get that salt out, it's a pretty big chore. You have to do a lot of water changes. Now this year, seems like every year we've always got something going on. This year we have anchor worms, and it's these little rascals that embed themselves into the fish. And while I haven't seen them into any of our koi and goldfish and such, I have seen them into plenty of the minnow fish. And they're real funky and they're really unique looking. When you see your minnow fish, you're going to see these anchor worms, and you're going to know exactly what they are, because they look really odd. They look like feathery type of deals. And so there's a product, I don't remember off the top of my head the name of it, and my consultant's coming over in the morning and we're going to talk about what to put in there. I think it's called Parasite Away or Parasite Away, I think is the name of it. It's fairly reasonably priced. I think the whole treatment's like, I don't know, under $100 or something. So it's very, very reasonable, and it's going to hopefully get rid of our anchorworms. And I believe he's probably going to want me to do a salt treatment after that. Man, the sun has gone down, and so you just can't see crap in the water right now through this camera lens, or at least it doesn't look like you can. I've been noticing a lot of videos on the web where they're showing people building ponds with all these boulders at the bottom. I don't think it's a good idea, man, because all of your crap and muck can get caught in that boulder. To me, I wanted just a smooth surface. See, there you can see all those little pebbles down there. I mean, that's pure the bottom of the water, and that's a good 3+ feet of water. That's to show how clear the water is. But to me, you want a smooth surface, man, so that you can then clean your pond and you don't have all the crap and stuff that catches at the bottom of it. At least that's my thought. A smooth surface and just a phenomenal filtration system, and try to keep these plants out of it. I mean, I don't know, but at least that's where I'm at today, and probably this time next year I'll change my mind, but I don't think so.